This is By the Numbers, a podcast brought to you by the University of South Alabama's Mitchell College of Business.
There's a charming movie called My Favorite Year, and it's a little bit older now, but Peter O'Toole plays an aging movie star actor. It's quite a fun movie, but he comes to do this TV show. His career's kind of on the skids, and and so they're walking. I feel great. I think I'll do it in one take. And he says, "Oh, we always do one take. It's live."
Oh, great.
So he just freaks out. Live. Oh my God. Well, wait a minute. You're an actor. He says, "I'm not an actor. I'm a movie star." And he storms out and leaves.
Welcome to By the Numbers. This is Deon Castor, and I'm the marketing director here at Mitchell College of Business. Here with me today is Dr. Peter Simonson, assistant professor of supply chain management at the Mitchell College of Business. Also with me is Shane Monagle and Brylan Shirley, who are MBA students here at Mitchell. And I'm going to let them continue the show. Go ahead, guys, take it.
Thank you, Deon. Thanks for joining us for the By the Numbers podcast. This is me, Shane.
And me, Brylan. So today we have Dr. Peter Simonson with us. He is an assistant professor of supply chain management, and we're super excited to have you here today.
Well, thank you. I am super excited to be here. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it.
So could you tell us a little bit about your early life and your upbringing and how all of this led you into academics?
Well, I'd love to. I grew up and was born in Grand Forks, North Dakota. And I am usually the only person anyone knows from North Dakota.
Seriously. I've
First
never
one so far.
never met anyone from North Dakota.
You know what? Great place to grow up. Great place to be a kid. Cold in the winters. My family, Dad was in the lumber and gasoline business.
Oh.
His grandfather started the lumber and gas business in the 1800s, and through a bunch of events that every small business goes through, we ended up in North Dakota.
Yep.
And I grew up then very much part of a family and small business, and went to college for general business administration, and then went to work for Dad and with my family, and enjoyed that tremendous experience. And when I was in the business for about 10 years, went back and got my MBA up at North Dakota State University in Fargo.
Nice.
And then when Dad died, we decided to sell the business and sold it to my brother. And then my wife and I have a wife and two little boys, we said, well, where should we go?
Yeah.
And we decided.
Tired of the cold.
Yeah, well, you know what? Again, great place, but yeah, it's cold.
Yeah.
We found South Alabama, moved down here. I started building houses down here. I finished my PhD, and then the university was good enough to give me a try as a professorship here.
Wow. So you're doing kind of like a dual professor part-time and contractor part-time, or it's just kind of full-time in both? You just don't really have to be there all that much for the contracting.
Full-time teaching now. Dr. Williams had me come in, do some adjunct teaching, but now that I have a full-time job, I'm finishing up a couple of projects, and that'll be the end of it, and I'll just be teaching full-time.
All right. And do you have any kids you want to pass it on to, or are you?
I don't think so. I think we're going to wrap that up, and it's pretty much going to be academia and some software development that I do.
Okay. So it's run its course. You know what you have to do, and that's it.
Right. But family business was terrific. I recommend it to anybody, and also there's a time when that's done, and when it's done, it's done.
Yep.
I like
and
that.
You just got to move forward after that.
And did you know going into your family business, how to run, were you always a part of that, upbringing? You were there on site, you learned how to work in that. Okay.
Exactly. And Dad always encouraged us to pursue other careers if we wanted to. But you know what? I really liked them, and I liked working with them, and liked working with my family. Also, it provided me, had some, as everybody does, had some difficulties, and working in a family business allows that family to support you during those times that maybe
Most
working
definitely.
for a company couldn't. So, but yeah, grew up with it and really always liked it.
And, ultimately, working with your family versus working for someone else, at the end of the day, whoever the owner of the company is the one that's making the majority of the money, so you might as well help out your family instead of some random person that just hires you. I mean,
I think that if there's that option, I've known people who've
Yeah.
said that. Now, by the flip side, of course, a lot of corporations, American corporations, very good to their people.
that's true.
And
That's very true.
and our business had its ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
Some corporations, there's more stability. So working here for the university, I get a paycheck every 2 weeks.
Yep.
Building on my own, I don't. So there are definitely trade-offs.
I mean,
and we need the big and the small.
Yeah, with the the family business, it's much more of an emotional development. And
Excellent point.
investment into that. Like it's it's second to none really working in a family business. And looking back at academia, what did you study in your undergraduate degree, and what did you specialize in your PhD?
So general business administration, just a good overall education to come back to work for our businesses. MBA is fairly standard. You get the same classes.
Yeah.
In the PhD program, I was teaching some at NDSU, and decided I liked it. But really, to teach full time in academia, you need a PhD. You have to demonstrate that you can do some research, and that you can handle advanced topics. So the degree that was available at NDSU was transportation and logistics, which I was interested in.
Yeah, that's
which was
that's a good
fortunate.
field to be in.
Yeah, so I
especially
had one
now.
choice, and it was a choice I liked,
Yeah.
so that's
Yeah.
why I went
Yeah.
that way. And then I did my PhD, had an excellent PhD advisor, Dr. Joseph Schmierkowski, who guided me through some fairly complicated linear programming to establish maximum costs of any project at any given period of time. And he was very patient with me and got me through that, and appreciate all of his help and enjoyed the work that he and I did together.
That's actually a common theme we've seen between every professor so far. There's always been one lecturer that they've always come back to as being their main focal point for
Really?
deciding why they continued on doing what they're doing. So far as Alvin Williams,
Yep.
Capella, and I think even
I don't
Dr.
know
Gillis
if
maybe.
I don't know about Charlene. I don't know if he said anything about
I think
that.
he did back in
may-
Florida State University. He
Oh
was
yeah,
one
that,
lecturer.
yeah, maybe he did.
Put him on the path to marketing, and that was it.
You can add Schmierkowski to that list.
Yeah,
We will.
Yeah.
I was his problem child, but he was very patient.
Sorry, prodigy, you mean?
Yes, yeah. Same thing. most of
That's
the
a kind
time.
way of putting it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm interested in your real estate background, and in the contracting that you're doing. I know, you said you're kind of moving away from that now, but through that experience, I mean, what was your main focus? Were you fixing and flipping houses? Were you, trying to buy houses and
No, was not
Rent them
doing
out?
was not doing that part of the work. Did hurricane restoration,
oh, okay.
and
Cool.
then some new housing and remodeling renovation.
So is that New Orleans, Hurricane Katrina remodeling?
No,
or-
not. It was
That's it.
much after that.
Okay.
Particularly right here
Yeah.
after Hurricane Sally.
Like in Gulf Shores, Foley
Right,
area?
precisely.
Okay.
Yep,
Nice.
exactly.
Anything in Dolphin Island?
I did not have anything out there,
Okay,
although there
yeah.
was certainly work. to be
Yeah, I
done
mean,
out
it wasn't quite as bad there as it was in
And then-
Gulf Shores, but
and then some new construction. So
Okay.
so tied in well with the lumber business. We had worked
Yeah,
with
yeah.
contractors all my life,
so you
and
kind of knew how it worked already.
yes, but had some good people that also helped me and taught me along the way right down here. So that-
Awesome.
And when you got into real estate, was that something new, out of nowhere? I know you had experience in the lumber business, but was that just something you threw yourself into, or did you have guidance into that?
I'm sorry. Now, when you say real estate, basically
Sorry,
what I
well,
have
yeah,
what I have been doing
construction,
is the construction, and I had to learn a lot of the construction details again with help of good people that would take the time to explain things to me. But I had to learn quite a bit of it myself. Alabama has a really very good program for home builders licensures. A number of states, I get the feeling that licensing is meant to be a barrier to entry. And even in North Dakota, builders who started with nothing but a pickup truck and a skill saw,
Yeah.
and then would make it, would turn around 20 years later and say, we got to stop these young guys from getting into the business with
Yeah,
nothing
it's
but a
like,
pickup.
hold on now.
Right.
This is where you came from. Why can't they
And-
do it too?
And it's a real problem. Now, Alabama has a different approach. They require a very detailed license exam to be passed, but The materials that they make available are wonderful.
Yeah.
If you fail the test, you can take it again a week
Yeah.
later. It's not prohibitively expensive. And my opinion of the Alabama licensure process is that it's really meant to help builders avoid problems and make sure that we can do a good job, not
Yeah,
to keep
yeah,
us out, as well as to assure that the homeowners have somebody that's qualified.
That's what I was gonna say. I mean, you don't want somebody who has no clue what they're doing building your house
Yeah.
that you're gonna be living in for
Right.
10 years. I mean, who's to
Yeah.
say it's not gonna cave in?
Completely agree.
I'm glad.
In Ireland, we have a term for that. It's called cowboy builders. It's the guys that
Yeah.
just show up, no experience, no
Yeah.
knowledge and no trade, and they
Yeah.
go in there and they build your house, and it'll stay standing, but
Yeah.
who knows how long?
Who knows how?
But yet Alabama doesn't seem to push that into making it a barrier to a young man or a young woman. Maybe doesn't go to college, maybe wants to just get out there and work with their hands.
Yeah.
They seem to me that the program is really there to help that new builder. I know it helped me.
Yeah. Very, very interesting. Yeah, I mean, I've definitely been interested in getting into not necessarily contracting, but more of the real estate side of things. Later on in life, I own a small moving company
Oh, really?
at the time, similar to 2 Men in 1 Truck. I'm sure you know
Absolutely.
who they are. And so, that would just be a good place to start building assets, in real estate, rental properties, things like that. So,
Well, the other thing you're going to need if you get into it, I'll tell you right now, is you're going to need a wife who's very patient.
yeah, yeah,
My wife has been very patient and
Yeah.
supportive, so
We'll keep looking.
yeah, yeah.
Like
Yeah.
my family even, like, so my dad, he's a few brothers, but him and the eldest three brothers have a construction company, Monagle Brothers, so it's Monbro, whatever. But yeah, so they actually have a construction company, a small one. So
really
I
outstanding.
didn't know that.
yeah, so every so often I I try to sit up.
I didn't know that.
I try to sit on a few jobs, try to learn a bit of trade.
Yeah, yeah.
Me and all my cousins, so all the sons, there's actually, between me and the sons of the other brothers, only 6 months between all of us. So
wow.
so we all actually work together, we try to learn a trade, and I mean,
Yeah.
like, the experience we get from working in a family business is second to none compared to, like, what I've done so far in actual corporate jobs or regular jobs.
Every cousin, brother, friend I had growing up in high school drove truck for my dad one summer at the lumberyard. So same thing. Also, I worked a lot with builders, but I didn't build. And there is a great deal to be said, and obviously I'm an older contractor, we don't on the audio here, but for working in the field. You understand what men and women who are doing that labor go through. And it's very easy when you don't do that to say, well, why can't they work harder? Why can't
Yeah,
they get something done faster?
it's tough work. I mean,
but
it's
when you're
heavy
out there,
lifting,
yes.
it's hot.
And in Alabama, when it's 90 and 90% humidity,
Yeah, gosh.
and you're
a
working
struggle.
with men pouring concrete or on a roof, you realize why maybe they take Fridays off, and
yeah.
you realize some of these things that you don't if you're just coming at it from the management side of it.
And did you
That-
find it hard
that's
to
a good
gain?
point.
Yeah, exactly. Great point. And did you find it hard to gain, I suppose, authority over some of the construction guys, when you weren't actually hands-on with construction? Or how did you manage that?
I don't really think that. Never really felt that. Quite the opposite. If somebody felt that who worked for me felt that I was not knowledgeable, they would almost go out of their way to help me understand what
Yeah.
was going on.
Wow, that's great.
But because I think, for whatever reason, I was willing to be out there in the field with them.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think if it had just been a phone call, why aren't you getting this done? Maybe there would have been. I have a
Yeah,
good.
and just being, generally nice and respectful to
Yeah, that's
them
an
as
excellent
well.
point.
I mean, that goes extreme lengths. I mean, you got to think about all the other people that they probably work for. A bunch of, basically turd heads that maybe do just call them and say, hey, what
know,
the
that-
heck? Why is it taking so long? Work faster, you suck. But, by just being generally nice and respectful to people, they're going to repay that respect by, in that example,
I think you're exactly
helping
right.
you out.
And I would
and
say
teaching
that
you stuff.
that most people, to use what was the technical phrase used, turd head?
Yes.
Well,
Very
I think-
technical.
I think most people aren't that, but as we all know, it only takes one person to be that way to really
Yeah.
really mess up your attitude.
Yeah, like something my father would say was like, if someone's being commanding and demanding, when all is said is done, a lot more is often said than done.
There you go. Very well. I have a good friend who does ICF work, insulated concrete forms. It's a form of wall with a lot of concrete and rebar, and I hire him, and he works for me, except when he shows up, I'm his gopher. And he's always yelling at me, Pete, what are you doing? Well, I thought, no, God, just stop. And then he'll take me to Denny's and buy me lunch.
Yeah.
So
It's a fine balance.
just a different management style. He's tougher than can be.
Yeah.
But you know he's on your side.
Exactly.
And that makes all the difference.
Absolutely.
Well, outside of, academics and your contracting work, do you have any other kind of hobbies or interests that you like to pursue?
Well, I think it's important that you and your listeners know that, and my wife particularly will appreciate this, and my family and everybody else who knows me, is that I do CrossFit.
Oh,
And
wow.
you can probably tell.
Yes,
heck yeah.
So, the
well, I
old
mean,
joke,
really though, you are pretty
I'm
darn fit.
just amazing. No, and I'm being sarcastic. I won an award for the worst CrossFit athlete in Alabama, so I'm hoping to extend that to the entire.
An award is an
Southeast.
award, but it's only up from here.
John Tanner down at Orange Beach CrossFit, to give him a shameless plug, takes good care of me. But the old saying is, how you can tell if somebody does CrossFit? Don't worry, we will tell you.
Don't worry, they already know.
So with
I was gonna say maybe the callus on your hands. Or
No,
something
just-
like,
we
no,
will-
no,
we
we'll
will-
tell
we
you.
just-
Don't worry,
they
don't worry.
know.
There's no need to guess.
But with two little boys and a wife who were very engaged, that's about it. That's about
Yeah,
what I have
yeah.
time for in the mornings. And then we're either working or doing something with the boys.
And then with your academia, trail it back. So with your academia and maybe construction, do you have any major projects you're working on? Any papers, or what's kind of your next step in?
One of
teaching?
the things that I'm most interested in is, and Dr. Williams has been immensely supportive, is we are taking the supply chain program here, and I don't want to say improving it because it's a good program, but we're really taking a hard look at how we can keep it up to date. Now,
Yeah.
for instance, I teach 2 supply chain management classes, and in the spring, we'll be taking on a 3rd class, port management, as everybody knows, Mobile.
Well,
is
that's
an
I
enormous-
was
We're
gonna say
dredging
that's
the
a
port,
really,
yeah.
really important class,
right.
especially around here. I mean, anybody going into a corporate job around here,
Yes.
that's extremely valuable information to know.
Absolutely. So what they dredging the port, isn't it from 30 feet to 40 feet? Is that the plan?
I think that's exactly right. And of course, what's happened is as these ships have gotten enormous, they've had to do everything from dredge out ports in different ports to raise bridges to widen the Panama Canal.
I think there's even a plan for another bridge coming in as well to ease the flow, of traffic coming
and-
in.
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Not every port is doing that, and Mobile seems to really be ahead of the curve to get the traffic to come
Yeah,
here.
that's just gonna boost the city in general.
One of the
Yeah,
things.
that's exciting.
Right. One of the things that I was just really pleased about in coming here to USA was how excited everybody was to take this supply chain program and continue to advance it. And it just gives me a wonderful opportunity to work with great people, but to get students what they need to succeed at that first job interview or to get that first client. So when they sit down and talk to somebody that's ready to hire them, that they can speak a language that person says, yeah, this person gets it.
Yeah.
So when it comes to something like port management, I will be meeting with the harbor master hopefully shortly, trying to line that up to say, what do you want people to know when they walk in here? And
That's
and
extremely
USA
valuable.
has always done that I can see, and then they've left it wide open for me to develop the curriculum.
Yeah, like around what those
Exactly.
I was going to say, is that
people are looking for.
Has that led you to develop the class teachings to kind of implement, more practical styles that will actually lead to, future employment in maybe Mobile or even other areas or something with the kind of similar style of, the port companies? Such as,
Precisely.
Yeah.
And of course, there was curriculum, and I didn't have to throw anything out by any means. But the fact that I come in, I say, hey, I'd like to make a change here, I've gotten zero resistance to that, just the opposite.
Yeah.
And that gives a person a lot of
That's
flexibility
great. Yeah.
and quickness to change. We all, we all know how hard it is to remember things. I think what I learned in college, it's just hard to retain it.
Yeah.
And then when you sit down and have to use it, it's like, man, I don't remember these.
That's the thing. Unless
I
you
remember
use
these
it,
words, but I can't remember how to use them correctly.
if you don't use it,
Precisely.
you lose it, and that's
Yeah,
as simple as
yeah.
that. Yeah.
So a very practical major that I'm working on. And any other research, I'm also particularly interested in how can small business use the sophisticated analytical tools that large businesses use, coming from small business, and I'm even talking smaller businesses, micro businesses, 2, 3, you're moving business.
Yeah.
Well, you were competing against huge companies that have sophisticated technology,
Yep.
and retailers who have to compete against Walmart, Target, Amazon, all good companies,
it's-
wonderful companies. We buy from them, but is there room for small business? And with the advance of computer power, programming power, and now AI,
Yep.
I think that there's either going to be a much larger gap between big and small, or those small businesses can take advantage of
Yep.
that computer power to catch up.
Yep. Level the playing field out.
And
Yeah,
I'll
it's-
give you
I think it'll be, it'll come down to who really pursues artificial intelligence and those other, more advanced technologies. I mean, smaller businesses that fail to, learn to use these things, I mean, they'll fail. If you look at, blockbuster movies or
Wow, yeah.
something like that, initially Redbox, well, Shane, I don't know if you've heard of Redbox.
We had that.
Yeah.
We actually did have that in
So, I
Ireland.
mean, Redbox initially started to tear down Blockbuster, and then Netflix came out, and now,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's gone. So it's just, you got to stay on top of
Yeah,
things.
it's all about kind of the barriers of entry to like AI and ease of access. So at the moment, from what we can see, it's it's a very easy, I suppose, field of ease of access AI. So like we're doing projects, and we're recommended to not use AI too much, obviously, because we
Right,
can't
now
write
that-
assignments.
and that's going to change soon here at this university, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because AI has been the threat.
Yeah.
How do we stop you students from abusing AI? But the meeting I was at just yesterday, faculty meeting right here, the entire discussion was, how do we help you learn, and how do we learn how to use AI to make what you do better?
Better, yeah.
So we're changing, we're in the middle of it, and again, I think this university is at the forefront of taking AI from a threat. It's like, wait a minute, you guys need to live in the AI
Yeah.
world. How do we
Right,
make
and-
that happen? How do we work with you to understand how to make that happen?
That's awesome.
There's no point in neglecting the future. It's
Yeah.
there. It's going to be used.
Yeah.
If we're not using it, someone else is.
Can I give you an example,
Please do.
personal example? I do computer programming and coding, developing a website for academia, and you know what? Hey, I'm in business. Maybe I can
Yeah.
sell for small businesses. And I do the coding myself. And I think I would probably be described as a really lousy coder. Okay. Well, I added AI now to my programming environment.
Yeah.
And I, working with the AI, am able to do things that are so far above my ability level.
Wow.
I don't need a programmer. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to work with programmers, but they can do other things for me. Now, what if we can take that for smaller businesses and say, you don't have time to develop, but with AI, we can use some of these supply things you guys are learning in your MBA program. We can actually apply those to the smallest businesses. When I grew up, we had large companies, and I love large companies. America is strong because of our big
Yes.
companies.
Yes.
But I also know that my neighborhood was full of people, including my father, who had their own businesses. And that adds something to the community as well. So you have those men and women who are going to work for large companies, and you have those men and women who are going to work for their own family businesses. And I think there has to be a balance. And can we use this technology to as you just said, level the playing field?
Yeah.
Like we even had a speaker yesterday in our class, and she's working for the Hangout Hospitality Group, which covers a lot of restaurants and areas.
Oh,
And
Yeah, yeah. It
Gulf
was
Shores.
The hangout, the golf,
Gulf,
the picnic on the
Zeki's.
beach.
there's what, 6 concepts, 9 restaurants,
Yeah,
4 markets.
tons of restaurants.
And what she even openly admitted, because our lecturer is very against using AI to write a report, but using it to actually understand better. So she actually got a price comparison of all the restaurants in the area. I think it was 62 restaurants in a
Yeah.
15-mile radius in 30 seconds using Beard
There
or
you go.
ChatGPT or Gemini,
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
AI she used. And she said, like, you know, it's there, it's to be used. Why
Yeah,
wouldn't I
you
use
gotta-
it?
You got to use it.
Yeah, what a great example.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, you're gonna use it to answer your question for you, and you don't know anything. Yeah, that's bad. But what
Yeah,
you just talked
yeah.
about, yeah,
For sure.
that's
Yeah.
exactly what we're trying to
Like,
expand on.
yeah, we have the idea, we know how to get it.
Mm-hmm.
Can someone else do the idea for us and get it, the information? We will do it
Yes,
anyway, but
see, yeah,
can we
that's
shorten
where
those
it becomes
times?
a problem, because then you're completely relying on the artificial intelligence and not
Yeah.
any of your own intelligence.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you'll be dumb as a rock.
Yeah, like even, I think as you said though, you're talking about coding, like you know, you're say an amateur or just kind of
I
getting
would
into
say
it.
rank amateur, yes.
Amateur.
Let's just be frank
Yeah.
about this.
So last year I was working in a company, and me and a fellow employee, same age, he did computer science, actually, he's undergrad. We were giving a project to kind of streamline these spreadsheets, like kind of automate them. And sure, you know, we didn't know where to start. So ChatGPT comes up, and for coding or something like that, for something where you know what you want to do, but you just don't know exactly,
Yeah.
you know, the parameters it needs, it is perfect for that. But then you can't get carried away because you can't rely on it 100%. You need to have that thought function to realize,
course,
I can get this information, but how do I utilize it?
The
Well-
ChatGPT is artificial intelligence is a bit of a misnomer. There's no intelligence there.
No.
It is a powerful tool, but it doesn't know anything. Although sometimes it gets rather crabby with me and we get in a fight, but then we make up and
Then you
get
type
over it.
sorry and it's all over.
And it's better. So, but so it is again for all the worries that we have, I think that it is going to be a revolution for good.
Yes.
And I'm really very excited what this university is doing to try to incorporate that, you know, right at the
I'm
undergraduate
excited about
level.
that as well. I mean, that's awesome that they're, basically at the forefront of this entire thing.
Yes, it is.
I mean, because most other universities are just strictly prohibiting it. But
It's in denial, really, is all it can
the
be.
fact that South Alabama is embracing it at least a little bit is, I mean, that's huge, because that's how you know they really are, preparing us for the future
Absolutely. And
instead of just sticking to tradition,
And I just agree with you. I would just change they're not embracing it a little bit.
They're embracing it a
a
lot.
lot.
Yeah.
And do you
it's
encourage
a
your
big deal.
students to use it, or do you just know they're using it?
So I personally, and we may change this, and this is one of the things we're looking at, but I say you can use any of these things, but you need to document it like anything else. And so then when I get answers that show that it's been used, we can talk about it to see if the student just used it to spit something out, or if they used it to help with their understanding.
Yeah.
And we get both. I mean, everybody gets busy sometimes, and as long as they document it, it's not cheating, but we want to make sure that they're getting it. I do occasionally get a paper that is so brilliant, so beautifully written, so in-depth in its analysis of minute details that either the student, is a genius,
Yeah.
or, so we try to deal with that tactfully, but deal with it, because we can't let that go. It's not fair to the other students. But that has been pretty rare that that's happened.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. And I suppose we'll wrap it up with a
Yeah.
final question. Say to any students looking to, pursue maybe something in business studies at MCOB, any advice you'd give to them, or any guidance, or any sales pitch you put out to the world to say why you should come to MCOB to study business?
Well, I think, on a broad level, every class I've taught has been pretty small.
Yes.
So the class sizes are not big, and that is unusual.
Yeah, you can get like one-on-one.
A lot of opportunity to help students. In addition, when I was, there's a lot of robust debate among the faculty. But I remember Dr. Chow, who was part of hiring me. First thing he said to me, We want people who can get along. And he didn't mean not debate and argue and discuss things, but he meant that we'll pull together. I really see that here. Every school I've taught at, I've enjoyed, and good people. This school is above and beyond on people working together with students. Also, for all the research that this university does, our discussions among the faculty are almost always revolving around what do the students need.
Yes.
And that is, in my experience, somewhat unusual. Now, I would also recommend, and I hope your students and anybody listening will seriously consider the supply chain program, which of course I have a vested interest in.
Yes.
But it covers so much. If you like quantitative, if you like spreadsheets, if you like crunching numbers, it's the place for you. If you're more of a a people person, and you like management and interacting, it's a wide open field, men and women. And I really think that it is a lot of the careers and jobs in this area and in the future are going to be more and more revolved around supply chain. Walmart is Walmart. Amazon is Amazon, not because of their marketing.
Nope.
It's because of how they manage their supply chain.
Yes. Yep.
You
So efficiently.
young men may not even remember Kmart.
Yeah, I remember
All right,
Kmart. Yeah.
Well, Kmart was the thing when Walmart was just not even in Mr. Walton's imagination. Kmart dominated everything, and they're gone. And Sears is gone.
Yep.
And a big part of that is because of how these companies manage their supply chain. I was at the Kia plant, and they produce, I believe it's 320,000 vehicles a year. Now, just take a guess, I don't even know if you have a point of reference, time-wise, how much inventory they have on hand at any given moment. Just mountains of inventory, right? No, they have 4 hours of inventory.
That's it.
Just in time. It's a JIT management.
And I mean, that's
And
exactly right.
it just all comes in
Yep.
right on time.
As my wife and I and the boys were riding around in the little golf cart, semi-trucks were pulling in there constantly. Now, the complexity and the people and the good-paying jobs to manage that supply chain
That's,
are endless.
yeah.
Is that kind of following, say, the Japanese Toyota plant, say,
Yes, and
Kaizen?
just in time, you hit it exactly on the, this is kind of like just in time on steroids.
Okay.
4 hours of inventory.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's wild. Yeah.
And other than just being amazing, it requires a great deal of people, well-paid people, to manage that process.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because it's not simple, not even a little bit. I mean, you got to think they're having to manage every single truck,
That's right.
every single cargo shipment. I mean, there's no telling where where all the different parts come from, and they've got to get the right amount on the right
Yeah, I'm prepping
ship
for
on
any.
the right truck.
Yeah,
All at the. I mean,
I'm prepping for any delay that could happen or any kind of.
Yeah.
Now, you also take the bridge in Baltimore that collapsed. A lot of concern. Well, but the thing is that our supply chains now are so resilient that we're going to bounce back from that. I don't even know that it's disrupted. All of that takes people with education and paid well to make that happen.
yep.
And got a question from Dion. And just
Now
to
I'm
explain,
nervous.
just to explain supply chain logistics to say the layperson, like to
Oh, sure, I'm sorry.
what would be kind of a how would you describe that to
It's
the
the
average viewer?
movement, it's the movement of parts and products and information from its source to the final consumer. So how do we get that cobalt and that magnesium and the labor and the designs for the product made, shipped, stocked, and sold to the end consumer? That would be probably as simple a
Yeah, that-
explanation of
I mean,
supply chain as
that
I
is-
could.
That's blatant right in front of you. I mean,
Thing
that's
is-
exactly what it.
There's a key word I think you even lingered on. It was information. I think that's something people forget about. You
Yeah,
think about the
right.
product or service, but information that's
I mean, that's
nearly more
arguably-
key, especially the way
yeah.
we're going now. It's a digital world. You think supply chain, you look back at your actual physical goods, but supply chain management now it's working into it's in every
Yeah.
single business. But information, especially that is going to be key moving into the future.
There's a number of authors, but one is George Gilder, and he has written a great deal of books that you kind of, you read a paragraph and have to stop and think about it for an hour. But
Yeah.
but he talks about a pickup truck. There's a pickup truck I drove up here today. You think of all of this, all that goes into it. He said what makes that pickup truck valuable is the knowledge. Otherwise, it's just steel and rubber, but it's the knowledge that brings
Yeah.
the iPhone. What a technical achievement! It's the human knowledge that has made that valuable and useful, and that's of course what we're trying to teach here.
Yeah, I've heard that all of the materials that it takes to build an iPhone is only like $17, $18.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, I mean, that's I watched a video. Don't remember the direct
Yeah.
cost, but it was between $17 and $25
Wow.
to build the iPhone. So, really, the parts and materials are nothing. People are paying $999 for each new phone
For the knowledge.
for the knowledge, for
Exactly.
the information.
And
People have found a way to take these cheaper, not too expensive materials and turn it into something absolutely amazing.
And that extra money that they're paying for that value is knowledge, and knowledge comes from us.
Yeah.
So that means that money is going to people to think and to add that value. And it's not
sure
that
is.
well, the world's about money, money, money. Well, you know what? Money's how we do things for our kids. Money's how we get the house we want.
is, yeah.
Money's how we. So how do we take and turn that that information into good jobs?
Yep.
That's what completes the chain
That's awesome.
and keeps it going
Yeah.
round and round. Thank you very much, Dr. Peter Simonson, for joining us on the By the Numbers podcast. And this is from me, Shane.
And me, Brylan.
That's all for now.
Thanks, guys. See you next time.
Thank you for listening to By the Numbers, brought to you by the Mitchell College of Business. Stay tuned. There'll be a new episode coming soon.